Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Konadra here. Welcome back to Formula One 2018 for the second race of season number 2 at Bahrain. Before we head to qualifying today, let's take a brief moment to look at our R&D progress, and you will see we have leapt in front of Mercedes and have joined into a very tight three-way battle at the top as a team, thanks to a couple chassis upgrades that came through this weekend. A couple upgrades we thought we were going to have for Australia, but actually got delayed, and Bahrain will be a nice place to have those. We are, however, staggeringly far behind Red Bull in the aero department, if I can remember how to get there. And look at the R&D tree. Say we go down to here, I believe we'll see that, yes, Red Bull has made huge strides in the aero department this season. Maybe they haven't made very many strides in the reliability this season. But that is where we'll be focusing next, is some huge aero upgrades. And we'll do that after Bahrain. But first, we need to get to qualifying.
The cars are ready, the drivers are ready. We hope you're ready as qualifying is about to begin here in Bahrain.
Indeed. Alright, let's go out for a Q1 lap. Feeling okay here this weekend. Having some issues that I think have to do with top speed and high-speed corner grip. It seemed like Sector 2 we were doing alright, but Sectors 1 and 3 maybe a little bit of a struggle. Not overly worried about it, but I was only able to do a okay job in the practice qualifying program. It's worth noting, this season, we are currently being targeted for a third place qualifying position at minimum. So those qualifying programs have me pushing for P3. That's significantly higher than we were previously. So when I say that I'm struggling with the qualifying program, doesn't necessarily mean we're in terribly bad shape, because honestly, anywhere in the top 5 is in the ballpark of where I want to be. I did run a little bit wide in that left-hander. Should we get it slowed down right here? That was pretty tidy. I think we'll be well into the 29s, if not 28s, so we should be pretty safe as far as getting out of Q1 goes. Not too worried about it. This is the first time driving on the track at night. And you'll remember from last season I was talking about Abu Dhabi and how it was a track that I had a lot of difficulty finding my way around thanks to the, we'll say, sparse nature of the scenery. Major problem here as well, although they have made an effort. 29.2.
Fantastic. That was the fastest lap.
A 29.2 should be good in comparison to those 30s we were seeing from some of the midfield. The guys, 29.2 should be safe. But again, I think the top times will be in the 8s, maybe the 7s. But Jeff Bahrain's made some effort to make the place look like it has some scenery around it. Oh, it's actually this right-hander that I really need to improve on. Okay, well, let's see where we stand and probably head to Q2. Alright, that got a little closer than I would have liked, but we were still pretty much safe down there in 12th. I think there's a lot of time left in the car. Magnussen up there at a 28.1, we were at a 29.2. I'm going to try and improve on that in Q2. Oh no.
Right, we've lost telemetry. We've lost pretty much all sensor information. It's being looked into now, so just bear with it for a few minutes if you can, please.
You know, for having this major problem, everyone looks like they're really not doing very much. Hey, I can't see you up there. Alright, well, we'll skip the repair time. So we just lose a little bit of time of this session. Now we should be able to go to track and do our flying lap. I think that just, it makes it so we would be tight to get 2 runs in. If I can get into the 8s, then I doubt I will need 2 runs. but I got a little bit of work to do to get there. Let's make sure we have a good run up the front straightaway here. Oh, it's hard to get the back end and not want to slide out right there. Okay. On the brakes. Kind of struggling with front end grip right there. I feel like maybe I'm on the brakes too early and then I get off the brakes when I actually need to be on the brakes to help the car rotate. That was significantly better through there. That's at least half a second, I would say. Although then the car ran wide for the next section, which I may have just given up most of what I gained. This is a track that's really difficult on a car. It really puts all of the elements to the test. Aero, chassis, and power. So even though our car, sure, it's in the top 4, what's nice is that the top 4 have kind of all gone different directions with that. Each team has its own strength. I feel as though the high power cars are really going to have the most advantage here. So we might see Ferrari really do well, because I think they have the best power plant. Just about out of battery power. Just across the line. A 28.5 though, that's a lot happier of a time. We'll just have to see if it's good enough. We're right behind Magnussen right now, which is pretty comfortable. 4th and 6th. Looks like Red Bull and Ferrari pretty fast today. But in fact, the entire top 10 within a second right there. Pretty sporty field. Hamilton went out and did a lap on softs in a 28.6, so he might be pretty quick as well. Alright, we moved to Q3, but I do believe our teammate might have the best of us today. Alright, I want to go ahead and drop all the fuel out of the car. I think I was running it a little bit heavy, a little bit conservative. Here's something that I would love to see for a future F1 game. How about one of the practice programs be a heavy fuel run? Because that's something that's basically ignored by those programs right now. They're all done on low fuel. I would like a race start program where maybe, if it's possible, you do kind of like a practice start and you get a lap in on heavy fuel. I think that would be an interesting practice program. I don't know if that's even possible. I don't know that they do that in real F1 practice. I think that's something that happens in simulator, but guess what? We're in the simulator right now. Okay, but here we go. See what that little bit of less fuel does for us. Definitely on the brakes a bit later right there, and I do think it was profitable. The nice thing about Q3 is we're comfortable doing 2 runs. So we could potentially try and go out and better this lap. It was better through there, but too much of that curb, and it hopped and scooted around on me. I don't have a setup in right now that's really happy with curb usage. I want to try and stay off the curbs here. Very much so focusing on these laps. Just a little skatey through there. Just not quite in the track. Using a lot of revs right there to help the car rotate. Same with right there. We're getting so very close to using up the battery. A 28.2.
That's the fastest lap so far.
That's a nice improvement. But already, Raikkonen has gone to a 28.201. Very close times. We'll see. I'm gonna sit on pit road for a little while and see what times are looking like.
Currently in second place.
Because I would love to keep laps off the car for future season stuff. I don't know that there's a ton of pickup in that for me. Magnussen went to the top with a 27.9. My gut feeling is we're probably going to drop to like 5th or 6th if I don't go again. I think I have enough time to go out again. I do... Oh, actually, I need to change tires if I'm going to do that. We'll see. It's not a disaster if I don't... Oops, I've hit F1 when I didn't mean to. It's not a disaster if I don't get another lap in, but I would like to. I'd like to try again. Let's see if we can squeak a little bit more out of it here. Just because I don't want to be mired down there like 6th to 10th. That's going to be too much traffic. We're already 4th. This will be very close. This will be very close. 2 seconds. 2 seconds on the clock. Couldn't get any later on the brakes. Didn't really gain me anything. Pretty much a mirror lap. Trying to flat-foot it out of there. The fastest sector 1. There was some time. But wide right there. Huge, huge time loss. But pretty nice through there. The back end just kicked out a touch. It can still be a better lap. But now it can't be. I overdrove it. Alright, that was it. That's the end of the run. We'll see where it stacks up. Certainly feeling the pressure this season. Feeling the pressure. I'm pushing the car to its absolute limits. And sometimes you're going to step over those limits.
The curtain rises once more then on the desert stage of Sakir as the players take their places for the opening act. Will they enthrall us like they did in 2014 with that titanic battle between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton? Well, we'll find out shortly as we get underway here in Bahrain. Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Kimi Raikkonen's perfect lap yesterday sees him start from pole position, and it's Kevin Magnussen in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Red, Ricciardo, Valtteri Bottas, and Verstappen, Hamilton, Alonso, Ocon, and Nico Hülkenberg, Perez, Leclerc, Sebastian Vettel. They've taken a grid penalty, and Sainz, Ericsson, Van Dorn, Lance Stroll, and Sergei Sorokin. Gasly and Brendan Hartley rounds off the grid.
Interesting.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
After the points finish. The points finish, Jeff. It was a win. Okay, looks like a 2-stop race today. No matter which way you cut it, there's no way starting on the supers you could make a set of mediums last to the end of the race, which is fine by me. I prefer these races with the 2 stops to the ones with 1 stop. I'm going to put an extra half-lap fuel in there to try and get us up to a full lap of extra. And worth noting there, the Vettel actually out-qualified us. I qualified 4th, but he moved back with a very early season penalty there. Not sure what the deal is with that, but we are going to be on the good side of the track, but trapped behind the Red Bull. Or sorry, I do believe that is a Ferrari. We're trapped behind the Ferrari, so we'll see how that goes. Alright, we are on the good side of the track, so maybe we can get away well. It is the case with this track, with a very tight turn 1. Doesn't give you a lot of space. I don't want to do anything too crazy and get Magnussen in trouble. This is actually ideal. I like the way this is played out right now. I'm going to try and keep with him. Kevin's been outpacing me this entire race weekend in practice, in qualifying, and I suspect it will also happen in the race. I think I am running a pretty conservative setup around here because I've had some incidents in the past with this track.
That start was okay. Now stay alert for threats around you.
I don't want to end up in a situation where I'm having to really fight the car here, so yeah, I went for the more conservative route. And hopefully our teammate can be the one to get the team points this weekend. And if we can both score decent points, then it's a mission success for me. Pretty spread out front pack. Very clean getaway for this place. Not really known for that. Okay. Probably have to back off on battery power now. This is where that heavy fuel practice program would really be lovely. So you'd have a better understanding of what the car is going to be like at the beginning of the race. Keep in mind, we're running half distances now. Imagine if they were 100% races. The fuel load would be double what we have, so if you were doing that, you'd really be confused. And the reason that's an issue at all is because they do limit how much practice you can actually run. In my experience, about by the time you've run all your practice programs, you've already put so much time on the car that you're risking damaging parts too much. But I think, again, our compressed season, the 50% races play a factor in that as well. Just a little bit too much oversteer right there. Gotta watch that. Look at the rear temps versus the front temps. We don't want any of that going on. We've had enough experiences already this season of what happens with this car when you get a big rear temp offset.
DRS is now enabled.
Magnussen's outrunning him.
To use when you are within 1 second of the car ahead in the DRS zone.
Honestly, the best thing that could happen for us is those two racing each other. It would keep us relevant to the battle, I believe. I'm not 100% happy with the car here this weekend. I just don't have a lot of confidence in it. I think you can see it. The middle sector is where it works pretty well. But 1 and 3, pretty consistently losing time. I don't know why exactly that is. This is one turn it doesn't really love. It's stable through here. Some cars we've driven in the past, I can think back to like the 2014 cars. They were a handful through there. These cars, though, much more stable. A lot more rear grip.
Okay, update on the car for you. Tyres are looking very nice. Shouldn't have to worry about the wear too much right now.
Thanks, Jeff. Oh, wow, I did not think I was in DRS range.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the softs.
Okay, it's a short first stint. Magnussen's starting to go for it, getting impatient. We saw some impatience out of him last race towards us. See if that carries over. Starting to group this front field together. The pit stop's probably going to be what changes the order some and breaks the field apart. Especially with Hamilton taking a long first run. Maybe doing a one-stopper. I don't know. Possible. I think you would be babying those tires for so long in the race that They wouldn't really get a lot of advantage. We're into kind of dirty air right now. Watch it in turns like this. Kind of gapped the Red Bulls a bit there. Seems like the front two got a little bit slower. Keep opening DRS a little late. Mostly because I'm hitting the button too early. Right, side by side here. Oh, he's not going to complete the pass. And we're going to have to pass him. Just to not lose time.
Okay, keep on him. Might make a mistake.
I gained a position there, Jeff. I think you were looking at the wrong car. Always observant. Jeff is. Is this race the same exact length as the first one? Oh, he's gonna get back by us here. Oh no! Wow, I thought he would clear with these. A little too much speed into there. Had to take it wide. Not a big deal. I'm being really aggressive with the engine on the downshifts through there because I need the car to rotate. It's just not doing it for me. I considered going for some different diff settings, but then it would really struggle in the low speed turns.
Pit window open. Let's box this lap.
Alright, I don't know how different our strategies are. It seems like because we're number one driver, we still get the number one pit priority, even though we were out qualified. Which is a bit rude, but hey, it's Formula One. It's a bit rude of a sport. It seems like Timmy's really struggling. Signs out of the race. That's 2 in a row, I think, right? Not a great start. A little bit of extra curve there. Not this car's favorite. Gasly's out of the race. What is with this? 2 cars and no safety car, that's lucky. Alright.
Don't forget, box this lap.
The car has reminded me very well, thank you. Which I've seen Kimi fighting that same issue. In we go. Full speed blast. And look behind us. Good stop, good stop, good stop.
Exit.
Pretty good.
Out.
Hopefully we come out into clear traffic. Only ones on pit road. Again, first to pit.
One more stop today. 1 stop left in our strategy.
Gain absolutely just screwed us. I had literally no control there. I had no option but to hit Lance Stroll. That is going to be a huge detriment to our race. I have lost a significant amount of front wing. My foot was on the brake pedal the entire exit of pit road because I was worried about where it was going to release us. This has turned into a how many points can we scavenge race today? As that was a big hit to the front wing. We'll be losing lots of speed. trying very desperately to not be extremely angry. Oh yeah, it's pretty unhappy.
Kevin is in the pits.
Trying to decide what I want to do. Make it through this run, change the wing, make it through this run, throw a bunch of front downforce on it to try and make up for the loss of front grip. This game isn't as bad as the old ones. It used to be that a little bit of front wing damage would end your race.
6 seconds.
It's not quite that bad any longer. Botox about to do the same thing to me. Is it just me, or did Magnussen lose a buttload of positions in that pit sequence? It certainly seems like he did to me. Car should be fun in these slow sections.
The car behind has come in. They're now on the soft tyre. Softs on the car behind.
Seems like to me what I would probably do is put front wing on it. Instead of changing the wing and taking the 8-second penalty, just put a little front wing downforce adjustment into it on the next pit stop and hope to get some of my balance back. That's the danger of being the early pitter. You're coming out into more traffic than everybody else. Let's do that. That seems like too much. Let's go for a one-click adjustment. Because the car isn't that bad. Let's make sure they're not going to try and change that wing. Championships aren't won in the races where everything goes right. Championships are won in how you handle it when things go wrong. So, I'm trying to keep my cool here. Sauber's got a lot of straight line speed. Really had to push it there. We're on the same tires, but very different age tires. Ferrari's still out there? Is that what's going on? Or is that just the gap that we have now? Now that's a bit of a power difference.
Good job, nice overtake.
Thanks, Jeff. I bet you it's Hamilton that's out way, way ahead of everybody. On his one-stopper. I've pretty much adjusted to how it's driving now. The worse the tires get, the worse it's going to be, but I think the traffic is actually working in our favor now. I think it'd be a pretty major performance to still manage a podium out of this today.
We're not going to be able to run in this engine mode much longer. We're about a lap over target.
Definitely forgot I was in it.
Too soon.
is something I totally forgot about. Alright, Botas is clear now. We'll get a better idea of what the pace differential is.
Okay, gap to leader, 17.9 seconds.
I gotta remember that the brakes aren't going to be as effective either. Once you lose front downforce, you also lose a little bit of brake potential out of the front end. When you first hit the brakes, the car is actually making an immense amount of downforce, and also you're getting a lot of drag out of that wing too. I don't know what happened with Magnussen on that pit exchange, but I'm guessing he got held, and it totally ruined his race. For now. It does not look great for him. So yeah, the car feels okay. But it's certainly not as speedy as it was. DRS here. I think I'm close enough though. Force India is pretty quick this season. One move, please. Round the outside, round the outside. Hanson the Pink Panther, round the outside. It is indeed Hamilton out front, who's likely also outpacing us still, despite his very old
Check
tires.
your MFD for a new strategy option.
Hitting early. No, let's keep what we had. Yeah, let's keep what we had. I'm guessing that was because of a lot of wear being shown. However, I want to make that call. I don't want to change the strategy right at this moment. I'd rather make the call myself. I just don't want to be stuck in the same situation where I pit early and then am lodged in traffic. Sure, the field's a lot more spread out now. I don't know why I suddenly got the need to destroy that DRS sign.
We're leading our teammate by 8.1 seconds.
There's Hamilton on pit road now. Going for a set of mediums. So he's going the rest of the way. I think he's in the catbird seat, but it depends on where he is in the field. It looks like he's in clear traffic. And it looks like he's pretty darn close to me and the other two stop cars. So that would put him, yeah, just ages ahead of everybody at the end of the sequence. Depends how slow those mediums are, and depends how slow he is at the end of the race. This run feels like it's dragging on. Maybe I should have pit early. I don't think the tires need it though. I think they're doing fine. And I think a factor of that is we've made a car that previously was a little bit oversteery into something that's struggling mostly with understeer. So now it's not wearing tires nearly as bad. Granted, it's not as fast as it used to be either.
The gap behind us is 1.9 seconds.
Yeah, there's the writing on the wall. Hamilton 3.7 seconds back, and he's done with pitting. Unless something really weird happens, I think he's winner of this day for being the only car to qualify Q2 on softs. It was a risk, but he made it work. Definitely struggling the front end right now. Back down my entries a bit. Very uncomfortable with the front end, which is easier to deal with than a car that's really struggling with rear grip, but it's just painful feeling. It feels so slow.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the softs.
So we pit on what, 9? Or did we pit earlier than that? Was it 8? These are things I should know. I just hate to make that last run longer than the first. By very much. I think if we come in on 17, that's going to be pretty ideal. Gonna be real smooth with my steering and the brakes. Hamilton's quick. Those mediums, even though they're really, I don't think the right tire for this track, they're probably consistent enough versus the softs really seem to drop off pretty aggressively for the middle compound. There's a nice gap behind those two, so I feel like despite the incident, there's still opportunity for me here. Bit too deep there, but I managed to use first gear to get it to slow down somehow. Hamilton's gotten around Bottas. Bit of an awkward position for us, being under attack from the car who's done pitting for the day. How he got such a huge lead, I don't really know, but I guess it was just everybody getting stuck in traffic at the end of the run. Or the beginning of this run, really. Interested to see how the car responds, putting a little bit more downforce in it. Hopefully it doesn't overreact and end up pinning the nose and making it oversteer. The other problem could be that too much downforce, not enough straightaway speed.
This lap, push hard on the in-lap.
Pushing as hard as I can, Jeff.
11.1 seconds.
I think Magnussen's still in like 5th, so it's not an awful day for him, but still feels like a rather big opportunity lost there. And not on pace. He had more pace than me. He just Seems to have been screwed over in pit strategy. As a true number 2 driver would be. It's the same thing that happened at the end of the tire run on the first run. Or just stops wanting to turn in right there. Watch the back end too. So now the theory is, with our extra stop, we're going to be on better tires than Hamilton, on less fuel, well, on low fuel with better tires and newer tires. We should be able to beat him by a second a lap for a few laps and try to overcome what is going to be like a 15-16 second deficit. Actually, not more than that because he's so close. They're still racing each other, which is nice. Magson's there, 10 seconds behind. He goes.
Go now.
Alright, let's hope that there's nobody in the corner as we exit.
Pit strategy
Now we look good.
complete. See these tires through to the end now.
See, they just give you too much speed to actually make turn 1. For the setting I use, they definitely should give you control a little bit earlier right there. It works fine in open track, but does not work fine when there's cars in turn 1. Especially cars that do not know how to respond to you being there. Alright, new tires and a wing change. Well, not a wing change, but a extra bit of front downforce to help make up for our lack of end plate up there. Let's see how she do. I wouldn't say it's fixed. First impressions, and that's realistic. Simply adding downforce will not fix the $1 million that went into creating that wing end plate. If that were the case, people would just run more front wing. Let's fit in this lap.
Kevin is in for his stop.
Sorry, Kevin. Do versus Botas. I think we actually did pretty well versus Botas. Thanks to a little bit of undercut. We had about a 2-second gap before, and now I think it's more like a 4-second gap.
The car behind has come in. They're now on the soft tyre. Softs on the car behind.
Purple Sector 1, I would say it's definitely
The
better.
gap to the car behind is 3.4 seconds.
It's not the miracle fix that I maybe hoped it was, but it's gotten it back to an acceptable place. Smart driving by me. We might still secure a second place today. And we'll just have to see what happens with Hamilton in front of us. I think he'll be in very fine shape for what he wants to do with this race.
Great
31-1.
work. That's a new fastest lap for the race.
I'm not even really coulda, woulda, shoulda-ing at this point. Because even with the damage and the little scuffle, I don't think that would have been enough to overcome Hamilton's honestly superior strategy. Most of the time he made up was running in clear track while everybody else was in traffic. That was definitely a brilliant move by that team. Especially considering they, this weekend, looking at the charts, had the 4th fastest car. They were nowhere near the fastest car here. Sometimes you can just make the most of it. Personally, that didn't look to be an option to me because I did the track acclimatization program on those mediums. Boy, howdy was it slippery. That was not fun at all. This car very much so prefers the softer tires. Or maybe it's just me. I'm a softie. 17 seconds. He could pit again.
By 12.8 seconds.
If he wanted to, he could pit and go for supers in the race. Still trying to keep it cool, though. It is still an injured car, even though we've adjusted for it, and I've pretty much at this point adjusted my lines for it. It's not impossible Botas could catch us by the end of the race. Especially if I make mistakes. You know what that means. Drink time. It's basically the drinks button. I could unmap that button, but that would require effort. And according to Jeff, I spend all of my off-season working out, hitting the gym. So yeah, I just simply don't have time for such things. I saw the crazy thing that Raikkonen uses to
Our gap to first place
exercise
is
his neck
16.5 seconds.
on Twitter, I think? It's somewhere. But yeah, it's this crazy thing that, like, exerts a ton of energy
Ricardo is the fastest
pulling
man
your
on the track
head
at the moment.
off center, like it's pulling your head left, and you have to try and keep your head centered. And that's how they work out their muscles in their necks to be able to withstand the G-loading of the cars during the season. And that's why Timmy looks like his neck is wider than his head now. It's crazy to think about the amount of physical load the drivers take. When you stack that on top of the amount of mental focus that driving these cars takes, it really does paint a better picture of what it takes to be a Formula One driver. Just think of the people we ridicule. Like, think of all the jokes and shade that drivers get. Say your Maldonados, your Lance Strolls, whatever, whoever. Any F1 driver that's ever been a meme and you've ever made fun of for, not being the best F1 driver, they're still doing things that are frankly superhuman. Just driving one of these cars is something far greater than any of us are capable of. I keep setting these purple sector 1s, but they're not even my best lap, which is confusing. Like, according to my wheel delta, I'm still down. But I guess it's still better than the fastest lap of the day? Is that how it works? Interesting that it's sector 1 now. It used to be sector 2. Pretty steady gap back to Botas at this juncture. I just saw Magnussen back there battling a Red Bull and a Force India. Hopefully he's moving forward, not backwards. Four seconds behind us. I'm not even subjected to G-loading, and these half-distance races wear me out. Granted, it's mostly like it wears me out talking more than it does physically, but still, it wears me out. Now all we need is a Formula One driver that commentates the entire race. You know what? I'll cut them a break. They can do 50%. It's almost the exact same first split every lap, which I guess means I'm pretty much running full robot mode right now. Just turning in laps that are pretty much the exact same every time.
We have 5 laps of fuel remaining.
Pretty tight on fuel. So not much to use there. A bit wide there. I don't think I'm in any position to be setting fast lap of the day anyway. So I'm not going to push for it. That 1 point that Ricciardo's going to get versus us and the rivalry, whatever. Not going to sweat it. Easy now. Thanks to the two-stop strategy, and I think taking it easy on the tires this race, haven't had to really manage the heat very much, as we did last season here that I remember, or in Australia. So that's been nice. But we also have that new chassis upgrade in the car that's supposed to help with tire management. There's actually 2 chassis improvements, so perhaps that's a good sign for the future. Tires are in decent health. I'm starting to feel that they're not quite as sporty as I would like. This race is going to play out very F1-like. Not too crazy, I don't think. It had its action in the early middle, but now it's kind of chilled. Switch up a little battery power here. Okay.
Our gap behind is 4.7 seconds.
It's fairly consistent and comfortable. I think the Red Bull's been closing. I believe that's old Daniel. Danny boy. Yeah, I think ultimately that front wing damage later in the run starts to show itself. The tires can no longer overcome that handling fault. So I'm really having to
There's 3 laps of fuel remaining.
back down to keep from understeering too badly. Although they've done really well with modeling tire heat management, the graining and bubbling and blistering of the tires when you really overexert them is something that's still kind of missing from that model. I don't know if it's something that they really want to go for, and it's probably something Pirelli's probably like, hey, maybe we don't model that, we're not super okay with showing the world our tires blistering. I'm sure they get bothered when it happens in real F1. Just because it's a
Gap to teammate
negative press thing.
14.3 seconds.
14 seconds. Crazy. That's really crazy. I thought I had the disastrous pit sequence, but it really seems like everybody in the top 10 had a disastrous pit sequence, besides Hamilton. A real winner in this, I believe, is Perez. Of course, India.
Okay, the gap behind is 3.9 seconds.
Oh wow, yeah, it closed quite a bit there. That was worth informing me about. Struggling a little bit. I'm gonna have to use some power on these straightaways to try and make up for that. Bit too deep right there. Easy. Remember in the old games, that curb used to, it would basically hook your car and you couldn't turn off of it no matter what you tried? Those were fun times. Every time I drive through there, I think of when it used to do that. I believe that was in 2014. Maybe even 2016. 2016 when I started playing again? I think so. I think I only skipped 15. I can't remember exactly this juncture. All I know is I've done a lot of seasons in these games at this point. Two more laps. Still set in purple sector 1s. As the car gets lighter and lighter. I think sector 2 is where it's kind of struggling.
2 laps of fuel remaining.
I don't know if that was a wheel spin or what. It really shot up in second gear there. Gave me a frighten. I wonder what would have happened.
Behind us is 3.5 seconds.
Okay, that's still fine. Yeah, I'm kind of curious if I had tried the one-stop strategy now. Could I have kept up with him? Could I have made it to Q3 using softs in Q2? I probably would have had to do 2 runs, but I bet you I could have done it.
This is your final lap of the race.
I think that's going to remain a coulda, woulda, shoulda. Or maybe not even shoulda. Maybe this was the right way to go. Not every race you circle is a winner. I don't think when I was going through practice I circled this as a winner. This was a okay. Let's get through this one. Let's score as many points as we can. I think that's going to be a story of the season. We know we have races this season we're going to lose points at. You got Baku, you got Monaco, you got Singapore. Those are just the 3 obvious ones. But you never know what might happen in any other race of the season. But when you already have 3 where you feel like, no, yeah, we're gonna lose points at those races, you gotta start thinking about the points real early if you're gonna actually push for a championship. I was shocked how close we were last season, despite our pace. But it really wasn't our pace that gave us the points, it was the turmoil at the front of the field. So many DNFs from the front 5 allowed us to basically get up there into the points really far, just off reliability. Alright, a P2 today. Not a thrilling one.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
But I think it was a gutsy drive after the damage, so I'm pleased.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today.
Good job, Mercedes.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today.
That will be interesting with Mercedes
And
1-3
after this round of the
in
World
the
Championship, here's
Magnussen
how things
5th.
look in the drivers' table. Red increases their championship lead. Now then, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the
Barely.
day?
Well, I have to give it to Lewis Hamilton. You know, it was just the kind of drive you'd expect from a multiple world champion.
And now
Pretty
let's
close.
take a look at the constructors' standings. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings.
Indeed.
After all that excitement, it's time for a lie down, I think. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye until the next race.
Ha ha ha, a lie down indeed. Alright, that wraps up our first 2 races of the F1 2018 career season number 2. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.